Good morning, everyone. Good evening and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Denzomus, and you're welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking impasse free. If you are new on this channel, I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. I talk about spirituality and I talk about personal and self-development. And if you know that resonates with you, I invite you guys to join us, give us a like, share this video with friends, and you may subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back, and I thank you for your love and support. This video is very much going to be for the parents, okay? You have children, 2, 3, 4, maybe more. There could be a child in that unit. There is a special child, okay? That child might be a chosen one. The child might be an old soul. And that child also might be highly spiritually gifted. In the early ages, it doesn't really make a lot of sense because you may sometimes ignore most of these signs because you don't know what the child is all about. But as the child starts growing up, you will start to understand that child stands out from the rest, okay? So if you're a parent, I recommend, if you have good intentions for that child, for your children and for your family, I would recommend that you nurture that child, okay? Treat that child in the best way possible. If you're a toxic parent who is running around and punishing your children and beating them down and whatever, destroying them, then I think you are in for a very big surprise. And I'm not really sure that you're going to like that surprise because that child is not that in that family by coincidence. The child has come to bless the entire unit and to heal generational trauma, okay? So I have got 7 signs, like I've said, that your child might be spiritually gifted, might be an old soul, or might be a chosen one. And I also understand that this is not a video that will resonate to a lot of people who are not really spiritually aligned. There's a specific group of people that understand these kind of things, okay? Now, you may have noticed that that child, sign number 1, they are highly empathic, okay? Empathic children come with special gifts from the universe, from God, okay, from source. You will see that they are always very kind. You know, they are sharing everything they have with their little siblings or with their little friends. You will see them, they are very highly empathic and they are very also highly sensitive, okay? Something very small will put the child off immediately, okay? Something small happens and the child feels like their heart, they are going to be really put off. You may see them, sometimes they are crying very easily. You know, sometimes they are talking less. They are very soft-spoken and very extremely empathic. Being empathic and empathy is a spiritual gift that not everybody has. You will also always recognize that in your family, in all your children that you have as a parent, there's only one child that stands out when it comes to empathy. The other ones may not very much resonate with empathy, but that child will be highly empathic. If that child you have in your family is highly empathic, I can guarantee you there's a very big chance that child might be an old soul, could be spiritually gifted, or might be a chosen one. Sign number 2, you may have had that baby, for example, in the early, I could say, within the 1st or 2nd year after birth. But for some reason, wherever you go around with that child is drawing a lot of attention. They are attracting a lot of attention, and you will also feel this because it may not have been happening with other children that you've had in that unit. That particular child stands out. Whenever maybe sometime you have gone to the shops, you taken a child with you, everybody wants to come around, everybody's looking at the child, everybody's making some comments, giving some compliments or things like that. Oh, you have a beautiful child, you know, they are looking at a certain kind of way, they are glowing or things like that. So you have a child who is drawing a lot of attention wherever you go. Sometimes you take the child to meetings, sometimes you take the child to parties, everybody is drawn to that child, okay? There's a very big chance that that child is a special child, okay? So that child is born with a very big light. And whenever you take that child with you in your normal days, you know, going around somewhere with the child is drawing a lot of attention from strangers, okay? People don't understand what is so unique. Even sometimes you're amazed at the attention that child gets whenever you take them out for a walk or to your families or to your friends. If your child attracts a lot of attention everywhere that you go, even sometimes it doesn't have to be a very handsome child. It could be just a child that, you know, is a normal child like everybody else, okay? Sometimes you have a child that really stand out, very handsome or very beautiful, but sometimes you have a child who is just a normal child, okay? You go out, I can guarantee you that child, wherever you carry that child with you and go anywhere, that child is going to draw a lot of attention from strangers. That is a sign that your child might be a chosen one, might be a gifted child, or that child could be an old soul. So these spirits recognize that child, even from a very young age, okay? The third one, you might have a child who is very picky, okay? They are very picky with the things that they want to eat. Sometimes you want to feed your child with a certain food. Maybe let's say, for example, you want to feed your child with a certain type of cereal. The child doesn't accept that cereal. You feed that child with something different that you know that most of the babies want, or most of the children want, young kids especially. We're talking about the young kids, okay? Especially between the age of 0 to 7 years. Those are the child you should pay attention to. Those are the children that you need to pay attention to. The child is very specific with the type of food that they accept. When you give them certain food, they refuse to eat the food. When you give them another type of food, they're going to eat it. And you're going to notice that this is different. It has not happened with the other children that you've had, but that particular child is very picky with the food that they need, with the food that they will accept when you're feeding them. Sometimes they will say they don't want this food, they want to eat that food, okay? That is a sign right there that your child could be spiritually gifted. The child might be a chosen one. The child is most likely an old soul. Now, the sign number 4 that I'd like to talk about is, which is a very paranormal sign or very weird sign, is when you have a child who can see beyond the 3D, okay? Sometimes you're with that child and they seem to be, even maybe probably at a very young age, the child could have been seeing certain angels around you or certain angels around the house, okay? You may catch the child sometime looking up in the ceiling in a certain corner somewhere, or sometimes you're going around with the child and you see them focused in a certain direction, looking and smiling towards a certain direction. There's a very big chance that that child can actually see, even on a spiritual level, communicate with angels, okay? That's the reason why they are looking around. Whenever you go around, you see them pointing or sometimes looking at a certain direction. Even sometimes when the child has started talking, they can talk, they can walk. You may see them, sometimes you go out in the parks, you see them running maybe towards a certain tree, holding a certain tree. It feels like they are seeing something that you cannot see, okay? These little children, they can see beyond the 3D, okay? They can see things that are happening in the spiritual realm. And if they're spiritually gifted especially, you can best believe that that child might be having actually a communication with angels. That child is highly protected. They are followed wherever they are. They have got a team around them, okay? A spiritual team around them for protection and guidance. So if your child is talking about seeing some angels, seeing something on the window, looking at a certain tree or touching a certain tree, most of the time they are drawn to a certain corner of the house. They are gazing in the sky, at the ceiling. They feel like they're seeing something. You feel like they're looking at something. There's a very big chance you have a child that is actually spiritually gifted. It is in your duty to nurture that child, okay? Give them and treat them the way they should. Do not do anything wrong with that child, because that child is in that family to bless you. Now, the sign number 5 that your child is spiritually gifted, could be a chosen one, or maybe that child is an old soul, especially if that child has got ancient wisdom. So the moment the child starts talking, okay, they have reached that age where they can start to communicate and talk, even sometimes little things. You will see them or you hear them sometimes talking about things that you don't understand, okay? You might have a child who is just 8 years old or 7 years old or sometimes even 9 years old, and that child is telling you things about ancient Egypt. They're telling you something about ancient Greece. They are telling you some things that you actually cannot make sense of. Okay? They're talking about things from the stars, other universes. They are talking about different creatures. They are talking about things that you don't understand. There's no problem with the child. The child is not crazy. You just need to understand the child has come into this world, reincarnated into this world, especially with a very ancient wisdom and knowledge. Okay, so they know things that they've not even experienced and seen. Okay, that's why you see them sometimes. You catch them. They're asking you things about stars, asking you things about ancient Egypt, about something ancient that you know that even you yourself you have not seen in your entire life or heard of in your entire life. They're talking about things you've never heard of. There's a very big chance that that child could be an old soul, could be a chosen one, or could be spiritually gifted. So they have come in with this ancient wisdom on a very spiritual level. It's called higher wisdom, okay? Now, you might also have a child, for example, there's a time when the children start to go to school, okay? They have started their school, their kindergartens or whatever, their nurseries or their little, primary schools or whatever. And you figure out that that child is very intelligent in class, okay? Highly, highly super intelligent, okay? And sometimes you put them in a certain class and the teachers will tell you that, you know what, this child is too wise for this class. We are going to skip this child to the next class. So sometimes you see these children, they're skipping classes. They may, for example, skip from level 1 and they may be put into level 2 because their mind and their wisdom and knowledge is for people in the higher class, okay? So you have a child whereby you remember, as far as you remember, they have skipped some classes. They didn't study a certain year and they have skipped that year to another one, which is higher, the upper year or upper class. There's a very big chance that that child could be a chosen one, could be an old soul, or that child could be spiritually gifted. They are highly intelligent and very wise compared to the other kids that are around them or the other kids that are in class in that time. But whenever you put the child in class, they are going to be performing very well most of the times. They come out number 1 in class. They have, high grades in their exams and everything. They are performing extremely well. And sometimes they are even studying for free. They could be skipping classes, or sometimes they are scholarships, like where I come from. They used to give these children scholarships to study for free because they were highly intelligent, okay? That is also another sign that you could be having a child that is spiritually gifted, could be a chosen one, they could be an old soul. You might also have a child, for example, if you are coming from a family which is most likely dysfunctional or toxic or have some kind of trauma, that family, you might have a child that you do not like the most. I want you to pay very close attention. If there's a child in your other children, amongst your other children that you think that is weird or they are strange, sometimes they are the ones you are like, the ones you're always punishing at home, something small they do, they always piss you off all the time. They say something, you're always pissed off, they make you very tired, you're always very angry at them. Those could be the children. They're the black sheep of the family. So those are the chosen ones of that family. So you might be dealing with a chosen one. You might be dealing with a child that is highly protected in the spiritual realm, okay? So the last one which I want to talk about is you might be having a child that has been labeled autistic, okay? You guys have been having this autism. Now, of course, in the 3D, it makes some sense because there's some way, a scientific way to explain these things and things like that. But actually, what is really happening on a very spiritual level, that child, they are struggling to cope between the spiritual world and the physical world, okay? So they are highly, highly spiritually intuitive and gifted as well. But at the same time, they are living on this 3D. So they cannot put their minds together in certain things because they're still children and they're still evolving. So it takes a whole lot of evolution for that child to stabilize. So at a very young age, you might have seen that child, people they are saying maybe they're autistic, the scientists or the medics have labeled their child autistic. It has nothing to do with a medical condition or something like that. There's nothing wrong with the child. The child is simply spiritually gifted. That is why they are struggling to cope in this physical realm of the 3D, because those children, they are highly spiritual, okay? If you have a child and the doctors have gone around and told you that that child, they have autism or the things like that, there's nothing wrong with that child. The child is simply a chosen one. They're spiritually gifted and they most likely an old soul, okay? So if you're a parent and you recognize, I've given you 8 signs that you might be having a child that is a chosen one, spiritually gifted, or an old soul. Let us know which of the signs resonate with the child in the comment section below. You guys know that I do love and appreciate your support. You can book a session with me if you want to. You may donate or support my channel if you want to. Everything you need, you will find it in the description below. And until then, I will catch you guys in my next one. There's almost signing out. Much love and blessings. Peace.